Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Cucamonga Valley Medical Group's Healthy Living webinar. My name is Sabrina, and I am a community health educator. My goal as a health educator is to help people live their best life through healthy lifestyle choices. And that's what I do. I teach healthy living webinars, I teach a weight loss program, and I teach Cucamonga Valley Medical Group's diabetes education program, which is an amazing program. I absolutely love teaching that program. I've been teaching the diabetes education for about 2 years, and I've come across some amazing people and I've seen some great results. Well, November is Diabetes Awareness Month. And to celebrate this nationwide observance, tonight's webinar is all about diabetes, which is my area of expertise, and it's one of my favorite topics to talk about. So I am so excited to be here with you tonight. Tonight, you're going to learn what is diabetes. I'm going to share the top 3 things you can do to prevent or self-manage diabetes. And then I'm going to share my top 2 tips on how you can implement some healthy lifestyle changes. And then at the end, we have a message from one of Cucamonga Valley Medical Group's providers, Mr. Lopez, and he's going to be sharing some more information about our diabetes education program here at CVMG. Now, before we dive into all of that greatness, I want you to remember that tonight is interactive, so please feel free to communicate with me. If you have any questions, just plug it into the Q&A function, and I will either answer it during the webinar or I will save that question towards the end. And at the end, I save some time for a Q&A session. Okay, so if you have questions at any time, write them down, put them in the Q&A, and I'm going to be more than happy to answer any questions. Okay. Well, first is first. What is diabetes? Well, there are 2 types of diabetes. There is type 1 and type 2. Well, type 1 diabetes usually happens at a young age, and it's believed to occur because of genetics. Type 2 diabetes usually we see happen in adults, and lifestyle has a big factor when it comes to type 2 diabetes. So tonight's webinar is going to be focused on type 2 diabetes. It's important to know what is diabetes, because the more you know about diabetes, the more power you have in preventing or self-managing diabetes. So let's learn what is type 2 diabetes. Now, things can get pretty complicated and scientific when describing what is diabetes. So I'm going to do my best to keep things in simple terms so you can get a good basic understanding of what is diabetes. To explain this, I like to start from the beginning. So your body is made up of these tiny, tiny things called cells. And there's about 37 trillion cells that make up one human body. Now, a good way to think of this is imagine you are a big puzzle, and each little puzzle piece is a cell. Well, each little cell or each little puzzle piece needs energy to live and to do its job. The energy the cell needs is called glucose. Just like a car needs gasoline for energy, your cells need glucose for energy. Glucose cannot just enter the cell on its own. It needs to be escorted by insulin. Insulin is a hormone that is produced by your pancreas. And insulin will escort glucose into the cell where the cell will use it for energy. Let's look at an example. So let's say you had a burrito for lunch. Well, your body will break down that burrito into glucose and then send it into the bloodstream so your cells can use it for energy. Well, your body notices, hey, there's glucose in the blood. Now it's time to send the insulin, send the escorts. So the pancreas pumps the insulin into the bloodstream, and then insulin will grab glucose and then escort it to the cell, and then the cell will use it for energy. Type 2 diabetes develops because of insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is a key factor in managing diabetes. So it's important to know what it is. So I'm going to do my best to explain it. Here we go. So back to my burrito example. Let's say I'm a person with type 2 diabetes. I have that burrito for lunch and my body breaks it down into glucose and sends it into my bloodstream. Well, then the pancreas sends the insulin into the bloodstream to escort glucose into the cells. Then what happens is that insulin will take glucose and it goes knocking on the cell door. And it says, hey, cell, I have your energy. I have glucose. Well, what happens is the cell does not open the door. And that's because the cell has too much fat, or in other words, fatty acids in the cell. So the cell says, hey, it's not a good time. I have a lot of fat droplets I'm trying to deal with, and I cannot take that glucose. So the cell resists insulin. Well, then glucose is like, hey, I have nowhere to go. So glucose gets trapped in the bloodstream, which causes a high blood sugar level. Now, the pancreas is realizing, hey, we have a lot of extra glucose in the blood. We need to make more insulin. So the pancreas goes into overdrive. It starts pumping out a lot of insulin. And the problem is that when the pancreas goes into overdrive, it actually starts to harm itself. It becomes damaged and it loses the capability to produce all of the insulin that your body needs. So this will set the stage for prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. So it all starts with insulin resistance. Here are the risk factors for insulin resistance, or in other words, what is believed to be the cause of insulin resistance. So we have lifestyle factors such as being overweight, obesity, being inactive. So that means you are not moving your body a lot. You are being sedentary. And of course, an unhealthy diet. And then genetics and your family history also plays a role in your risk for developing type 2 diabetes. So why should we care? Why is preventing or self-managing diabetes important? And all self-managing means is that you are keeping your blood glucose levels in a healthy range. So if you are a person with type 2 diabetes, self-managing your diabetes means keeping your blood sugar levels in a healthy range. So why is it important to keep your blood sugar levels in a healthy range? It is important because having too much glucose in your blood over time can cause damage in the body. This is also known as diabetes complications or health problems. Some major diabetes complications are things like heart disease, vision loss, and kidney disease. So that's the goal. That's the whole point. That is why you learn about diabetes, you take classes, so you can learn how to keep your blood sugar levels in a healthy range so you can prevent or delay damage in your body. So far, you have learned what is diabetes, the risk factors for diabetes, and why it is important to prevent or self-manage diabetes. Next is, what can you do? I'm going to share with you the 3 most effective things you can do to prevent or self-manage diabetes. These 3 things have the greatest impact on diabetes. First, and the most important, is to lower fat in your diet. Remember, we just learned that too much fatty acids or too much fat in the cells is what causes insulin resistance. So eating a low-fat diet will improve insulin resistance. In other words, it's going to improve your diabetes. Eating a low-fat diet will also help to prevent diabetes. There are actually 3 types of fats, and they are not created equal. So let's learn them. Number 1, first type of fat is saturated fat. Saturated fat comes mainly from animal products. So things like milk, cream, cheese, butter, ice cream, milk chocolate, meat, processed meats, and then palm and coconut oil. Who here has ever maybe cooked some bacon or a piece of steak in the pan? And then in the pan, what's left over, you have that white sticky substance that hardens if you leave it there. Well, that's going to be saturated fat. And the name gives it away, right? It's saturated, it's concentrated, it's sticky. And they tell you don't put that fat down your drains because it's going to cause some problems. And that's the same thing for your body. So if you're eating high amounts of saturated fat, that's going to put a lot of sticky fat all in the body. It's going to get stuck in the cells, and that's ultimately what causes insulin resistance. So with that being said, we want to do our best to avoid saturated fats. And this is going to be the best for diabetes. Next type of fat is we have trans fat. Trans fat is actually a man-made fat. And what it does, it helps to improve the shelf life of food and the texture. So we see this fat a lot in processed foods, fried foods, definitely fried foods, baked goods, and hydrogenated oil. So if you ever see hydrogenated oil, that means it's a trans fat. Okay, and trans fats are so unhealthy, and there's so much evidence that the FDA labels trans fats as unsafe. So we want to do our best to avoid trans fats. Trans fats is also going to have that negative effect in your body, and it's going to cause that insulin resistance as well. Okay, so we want to avoid saturated fats and trans fats. Next, we have unsaturated fats. Now, these fats are considered the healthy fats, and they come from plants. So that's going to be things like avocado, olives, nuts and seeds, and plant oils. So olive oil, peanut oil, avocado oil, that's all going to be an unsaturated fat. Now, even though these are the healthy fats, they are still a fat, and they're high in calories. So we should limit these. We should be mindful about how much unsaturated fat we are eating. And especially if you're trying to prevent diabetes or self-manage diabetes, it's going to be a great strategy to pay attention to how much unsaturated fat you're eating as well. Okay, so lowering fat in your diet is key. So take a look at your diet and see where you can start reducing the fat, especially that saturated fat and those trans fats. That's going to be very beneficial when we're talking about diabetes. So eating a diet low in fat is going to help you to prevent diabetes or self-manage diabetes. The second most effective thing you can do for diabetes is to eat whole foods. A whole food is a food that it is in its natural or unchanged state. Whole foods did not go through a process to be made. So foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes. Legumes those are beans, and beans are such a health food. If you've ever taken any of my classes, you know how much I talk about beans. It's all about the beans. So beans are a great, great health food. Okay, so the opposite of a whole food is processed food. And that's going to be things like granola bars, protein powders, chicken tenders, bread, chips. And that's just to name a few, because our lives is full of processed food. We have a lot of processed food in today's world. When foods go through a process to be made, they actually lose their valuable nutrients. And most of the time, unhealthy ingredients are put in the food. And those unhealthy ingredients could be things like salt, sugar, and fat, preservatives, and chemicals. Okay, so whole foods are packed with nutrients that promote health. One nutrient, and probably the most important, is going to be fiber. I like to call fiber the key to health, because not only does it protect you against disease such as cancer, but it also helps to fight diabetes. So take a look at your diet and see if you are eating mainly whole foods or if you are eating mainly processed foods. If you're interested in figuring out some recipes that include whole foods, you can type into Google clean eating. That's just a term that a lot of people use in the health community, is clean eating. And all that means is you're focusing on eating whole foods. So if you're interested, just type in clean eating and you can find a lot of good recipes that way. So eating whole foods will help to prevent diabetes and self-manage diabetes. So eat whole foods. The third most effective thing to do to prevent or self-manage diabetes is to exercise regularly. Being physically active is important for everyone, but it is especially beneficial in preventing and improving diabetes because when you use your muscles, your cells become more sensitive to insulin. So it improves insulin resistance. In other words, it improves diabetes. Exercising will also help you to reach and maintain a healthy weight. And remember, you don't have to be a gym rat. You don't have to spend hours exercising, dedicate all this time, okay? The key here is regularly or consistently. So whether that's 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. And we are really lucky because we live in a time where exercising has become so convenient and attainable for everyone. There are a ton of great ways to exercise, such as walking, weightlifting, running, swimming, bicycling, workout classes or groups. There's even a lot of cool workout virtual classes, which I think is really great in today's world. And we have the free resource of YouTube. There's a ton of free YouTube workout videos. So there's so many resources out there. Starting with exercise is a lot like climbing a hill. In the beginning, it's hard, it sucks, you got to push yourself. But once you stick with it and you start being regular with it, it starts becoming easy and it starts becoming a natural part of your day and your body actually starts to crave it. So don't ever get discouraged in the beginning. It's always going to be hard in the beginning, but just regularly, consistently sticking with it, it's going to get easy and it's going to become an enjoyable experience. Exercise is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. It has a ton of great benefits, but it will especially help to prevent or self-manage diabetes. So let's review the top 3 things you can do to prevent or self-manage diabetes. Number 1, eat a diet low in fat, especially those saturated trans fats. Number 2, focus on eating whole foods. And then number 3, exercise regularly. Okay. Looks like we're doing pretty good. We don't have any questions. All right. Well, preventing diabetes and self-managing diabetes requires lifestyle changes. When making these changes, the easy part is thinking of the things that you don't want to do or you want to start doing. So for example, I'm not going to drink soda anymore, or I'm not going to eat fast food anymore, or I'm going to start exercising. But the thing is, that's only the first step. Okay. Next is to plan and prepare. This is where we truly make these changes a habit. You must plan and prepare. Planning and preparing is a crucial step for successful lifestyle changes. So let's look at an example here. Let's say every morning before work, you go to the coffee shop and you get your coffee and your bagel. Well, you decide you want to eat healthier and you know that that bagel and coffee is not a healthy choice. So you decide, I'm not going to go to the coffee shop anymore before work. This is the first step. The next step is to plan. What will you replace that coffee and bagel with? So you look up some healthy breakfast recipes. So you plan to make a veggie scramble before bed. That way it's ready to go in the morning and you also bought a new tea to try out. So you planned and you prepared. Let's say you didn't plan and you didn't prepare. Well, Monday morning comes and you don't know what to make. You're running out of time. You got to get to work. and you end up back at that coffee shop. And another example is, let's say you want to start exercising. Okay, so boom, step one, you want to start exercising. So you must plan and prepare for that exercise. So you decide you're going to schedule your exercise on Tuesday and Wednesday evenings, 6 p.m. So you have planned. And then you decide that you're going to follow a YouTube workout video. So you prepare by going through YouTube and saving the video that you will use. So when it comes time to exercise, you have planned for it and you have prepared, which means you are more likely to exercise. So pick one thing that you want to change and plan and prepare for it. And then once you've been doing that one change for a while and you've kind of got it down, add another change. Okay, so plan and prepare. My second tip for healthy lifestyle change is to get support. When we have support, we are more likely to succeed because it can be hard dealing with diabetes, trying to make lifestyle changes all alone. We all need support. There are many ways to get support. You can get support from your family and friends. So you need to talk to them, tell them your goals, tell them why this is important for you. And most importantly, tell them how they can help, how can they support you? Because a lot of times their heart's in the right place. They just don't know how they can support you. So telling them is a great way to really get some good support. You can also join support groups, clubs, and of course, taking a class, right? Well, speaking of classes, Cucamonga Valley Medical Group is proud to be offering our diabetes education program. And before we dive into our Q&A session, let's go ahead and listen for a brief message from one of CVMG's wonderful providers, Mr. Lopez. Mr. Lopez has instituted the diabetes education program here at CVMG. He is a family nurse practitioner and a certified diabetes care and education specialist. So let's go ahead and hear a brief message from him. He's going to share some more information about our program and how it works and how you can get into the program.
Well, thank you, Sabrina, for allowing me to participate in your webinar. My name is Mr. Lopez. I'm a family nurse practitioner. I'm also a certified diabetes educator here at Cucamonga Valley Medical Group. And I wanted to share a little bit more about our program. Cucamonga Valley Medical Group's vision is to be a beacon of health education, not only to the patients that we serve, but also to the local community members that live throughout the Inland Empire. CVMG is upholding this vision by helping to build strong relationships with patients and providers, and by providing support and education that extends throughout the community. Cucamonga Valley Medical Group is proud to offer our diabetes self-management education and support program. This program has been very effective and successful. The purpose of our diabetes education program is to provide individually tailored, culturally appropriate, comprehensive diabetes education. This is a comprehensive 7-week evidence-based program that focuses on 7 key topics that can help a person with diabetes live a healthier life with diabetes. Each week, a different topic will be introduced and builds upon the previous session. Patients will learn applicable skills such as reading food labels and checking sugar levels, and how to self-manage with support. The benefits of this program also extend to the patient's families and also their social networks as they witness the lifestyle changes these patients make and maybe also adopt them as well. Now, how this program actually works? Well, it begins really with their primary care provider at the patient's local clinic. This provider will assess the need for patient education. If the provider deems necessary, then the provider will enter a referral to our patient education department to schedule an individual appointment with myself to assess the patient's current treatment plan and lifestyle. From here, the patient's treatment plan may be adjusted and may also be referred to other specialists, such as an endocrinologist or a nutritionist, if deemed necessary. Then from Here, the patient is then referred to our English or Spanish-speaking health educators who have been trained in facilitating diabetes education. Now, once the patient has completed the 7-week course, then the patient will receive another individual consultation with myself, the diabetes educator, so we can review their learning goals, their treatment plan, and also their source for ongoing support. If the patient and the educator think that there's no treatment adjustment necessary, then the patient can continue care with their primary care provider. If new treatment will be needed, then we can continue individual appointments with myself. This comprehensive diabetes program is available both in English and in Spanish. And we do offer in-person classes, and as well, we also offer classes for your convenience and virtually, meaning through your phone, your tablet, or your computer device. Many people ask, why is this program important? Well, this program is important because uncontrolled diabetes not only affects the person with diabetes, but also their family and their caregivers, and also our local community. I see that if we can improve the health of the individual with diabetes, then we have the potential to improve the health outcomes of families and also our local communities. I understand that living with diabetes is a challenge. It can be a burden, like a backpack you cannot take off. But working alongside our providers, CVMG's program educates and supports patients so they can live a healthier and fruitful life with their loved ones. As far as some of the results from our program, in the brief time that we have started our diabetes self-management education program, we are excited to share the personal success testimonies of our former participants. A vast majority of our patients have succeeded in lowering their A1C score. At least half of our patients have reported weight loss since completing the program. I can also tell you that some of our patients have either decreased or eliminated some of their diabetes medication by following a plant-based diet. If you are interested in joining our diabetes program, please talk to your healthcare provider here at Cucamonga Valley Medical Group. Ask them to refer to our diabetes program. Once again, I want to thank you for allowing me to participate in your discussion today. May you have a great rest of your day.
Okay, so that was from Mr. Lopez, and he was talking about our diabetes education program. And I am one of the main educators for that program, and I have to say it's such a great program. I love teaching it. I have seen some great results. I have met some amazing people, and I really enjoy being a part of everyone's journey and just helping and supporting people in their healthy lifestyle changes. So again, if you're interested in that and you are a Cucamonga Valley Medical Group patient, please talk to your healthcare provider and ask them how you can get referred and we can enroll you into the program. All right. So let's go ahead and open it up for some Q&A. I am here. I'm ready to answer any questions you may have. So please go ahead and submit them in the Q&A. Okay. Okay, so we did get a good question in here, and it says, what's your biggest tip for healthy eating? Great question. My biggest tip for healthy eating is to meal prep. That's my biggest tip. And the reason why I say that is because something that I see with the majority of my participants is that they are short on time. Okay, they are short on time. Everyone's busy, right? We're working, we got kids, we got to take care of our families, our house. So we have a lot going on, and having to cook every day, 3 times a day, it can be a lot. It can be a little hard. So to be successful, I really see that meal prepping is a great way to make healthy eating convenient for you and more doable. So, dedicating maybe 1 or 2 days of the week and just making a bunch of batches of food. That way it's ready to go when you need it, you're prepared, and you're more likely to eat that healthy food. So definitely meal prepping, planning, and making healthy food convenient for you is gonna set you up for success. Great question, and thank you for answering that. Okay, we have another question. It says that my mom, my dad, my grandma have diabetes. Does that mean I will? This is a great question. Great question. And I see this a lot. Okay. And a lot of my participants in my class, many of them already have family members who have diabetes. And the thing is that I read a quote one time, and I think this is very true, is that your genetics essentially will load the gun, but your lifestyle is what pulls the trigger. Okay. And I could attest to that because my mom and my grandma have diabetes. And when I was 23, I was diagnosed with prediabetes. So I started making lifestyle changes and I was able to lower my A1C and no longer be pre-diabetic. So I see the power in it. I personally went through it. So just because my mom and my grandma had it and I was almost on that path, I switched paths and I really took healthy living serious and I made some serious changes and I was able to see those serious results. So that is my advice. It does not necessarily mean that's going to happen to you. You are in control and you have a lot of influence on how that goes for you. Okay. That's a great question. Thank you so much. Okay. Any more questions? Any more questions? I am here. Okay. Well, I don't see any more questions rolling in. If you do, you can just pop them in. Really fast before I let you go, I just want to make a quick announcement that CVM, hold on, back it up. We need to fix that. Okay, so before you go, there we go. Well, before you go, I would like to make a quick announcement that CVMG, we are having issues here. There we go. Okay, let's try that for the third time. Here we go. Boom. CVMG offers free access on our website to the Healthy Living video series. A video of today's presentation of diabetes is going to be available within a few days, and the videos of all our previous Healthy Living program presentations are available now. So please go to the Healthy Living page on the CVMG website to access our library. And you can see the link on the screen right now. So just remember, at CVMG, you are treated like family, and just like family, we want you to live your best healthy life. All right. So it looks like that is it. Before you leave, I just want to tell you that I have seen firsthand the power of healthy lifestyle choices. And I want you to know that it doesn't matter where you are at on your health journey. It's never too late to start making healthy lifestyle decisions. Even small changes have a great big impact. So the future does depend on what we do in the present. So go make that change. And thank you all for participating tonight. I hope this was helpful. I hope we learned something, and I hope to see you next month. Thank you so much.